1 minute.
Thank you, Minute.
Jeez. Day before retirement, too.
Miss Lenore, places.
Thank you, Places. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, my name is Gabrielle Lenore, and welcome to My Life as an Inspirational Porn Star. Please come on. Thank you. This show is basically everything I tell my therapist, except now you're the ones paying for this vanity project. But you get to see me in this sexy outfit. Totally worth it, right? Thanks. Before we begin, though, there is something that I need to confess. I'm autistic.
Okay.
I can tell no one knows how to react to that. Usually I get 1 or 2 reactions like, wow, you're so perfectly normal. And oh, that explains a lot. Anticlimactic, or as some usually say, that usually doesn't happen. But seriously, I'm guessing you all have a few questions, like, what is inspirational porn? What does any of this have to do with autism? And of course, how does one become an inspirational porn star? Let me guess. Asking for a friend? You might not know the phrase, but trust me, you have all been active participants. Inspirational porn is a term coined by late activist and disability comedian Stella Young, who refers to those feel-good news stories you see on the news or social media that portray disabled people as these poor, innocent babies in desperate need of protection from this cruel, dark world. And then suddenly a hero, someone not disabled, swoops in and shows basic human decency, and they get a, I don't know, Purple Heart, Key to the City, or some other You're Such a Good Person prize. Because who else would go so out of their way for them? Exactly. That's what makes it newsworthy. If you all thought you were going to leave here today feeling proud and uplifted, think again. This show isn't just some fluff piece you catch on a slow news day. No, this show isn't about overcoming adversity or rising from the ashes like a mighty phoenix just to defiantly declare, I'm thriving! Sorry, not sorry. I get it. I get the appeal of it all, though. It's the kind of stuff that makes eyeballs, audience members, feel oh so proud of themselves. I mean, that's what you guys all paid here for, right? For me to make you feel good? Well, it's not OnlyFans IRL, if that's what you're thinking. Okay, despite all this, but it is not safe for work. Sex, drugs, and other taboos you'd never expect to hear from an autistic woman like me. Lucky you. Now, if that's too hot to handle, now's your chance to leave. Okay. Consider yourselves warned. But don't worry, I'll make sure you're satisfied, one way or another. It's my specialty. Now, just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. I mean, if I can do that for you, does it really matter who finishes first? I know at least Emily did tonight. Anyway, enough with the teasing foreplay. Let's get on with it, shall we? Chapter 1, Early Life. As a young girl, I was adored for all my strange quirks. While the other kids were playing tag, I was too busy watching ants march on a sidewalk to care. What did my mom think of this? A future entomologist. My dad, a genius just like him, for trying to avoid the one thing you can't escape at the beach. Sand. Hot take from a Floridian, sand gets everywhere, and no matter how hard you try, you can never get rid of it. Like herpes. Well, not that I would know. Another idiosyncrasy or irrational fear of mine was movie theaters. The volume was just way too much for my nervous system. Especially with that THX clip from back in the... Oh my God! You think George Lucas was trying to break the sound barrier with that thing? It's a bit much, right? Just a bit? To combat this, my grandma invented the magic jacket. She wrapped me up like a cocoon to defend from the dangerous decibels. And then suddenly, the theater wasn't so loud anymore. Take that, George Lucas! And my mom finally stopped worrying about whether I'd go to the movies with my friends. In spite of their anxieties, my family, much like my grandma's magic jacket, wrapped me in love and protection. Nothing could touch me. I was their first precious baby girl, a shining star. Strangers would even stop on the street and gush about how cute I was. You could say I was the best thing that ever happened to them. Don't tell my siblings. My family knew I was special, they just didn't know how. One fateful day, my pediatrician cousin, Elliot, rest in peace, noticed my unique traits through a more clinical lens. He observed I wouldn't look anyone in the eye or even acknowledge him in the room. His diagnosis? Autism. Because the only things I seemed to care about were my parents and his stethoscope. Well, isn't that normal, my parents thought? Why would that be so odd? What was wrong with our perfect little star? After multiple medical opinions, I was diagnosed with moderate to severe autism at 2 years old. Doctors didn't think I'd ever talk, let alone write, produce, or star in her own one-woman show at Theater 4. Although they did make sure to mention how exceptionally beautiful I was. Apparently both a silver lining and a very specific diagnostic criterion. But you have to understand, it was a long time ago. It was only the 90s. Still, my experience is rare, especially as a cisgender Latinx woman. In fact, many women get diagnosed later in life than men. And why is that? Why? Because of Dr. Hans Asperger, of course. Chapter 2, who put the ass in Asperger's? What? Did you guys not see that coming? Oh, shit. Wrong Nazi. Let me explain. Most people see autism as either high functioning or low functioning, easier to deal with or harder to deal with. I'd imagine most of you would put me in the high functioning camp. No pun intended. Some people get it, some people don't. It's a slow burn, that joke. Asperger studied these groups of young white boys and called it Asperger syndrome. The artist formerly known as high functioning. Those deemed low functioning, euthanized burdens. Despite Dr. Hans Asperger's limited and deeply problematic research, we now know that autism exists across all genders, socioeconomic backgrounds, and races. Yet many overlook how autism manifests differently in women than in men. I believe this is because women are held to a stricter social standard than men, regardless of neurotype. Hell, men can literally get away with rape and murder, but God forbid I don't coo in my tour guide Barbie voice and suddenly I'm a bitch! What's a poor girl to do, am I right? The problem with labeling people, especially children, based on how well they function, is that it dehumanizes them. It reduces disabled people's worth to how much they can contribute to a capitalistic society. Calling me high functioning isn't just insulting to me as an autistic woman, but even more so as an autistic Jew too. Talk about killing two birds with one stone, am I right? Oh, Dr. Nazi Asperger would have loved that kind of efficiency. but not as much as this guy. The better terms today are low support and high support, rather than high functioning and low functioning respectively. The more you know. Chapter 3, Inside the Inspirational Porn Star Studio. Now, what kind of low support girl writes this whole show about herself and expects people to pay for it? Me. Obviously. And let's all be real, autism, it doesn't really look like anything. Well, except maybe this good. Oh, I'm just kidding. Or am I? Okay, I get it. The idea of me being both hot and autistic, hotistic if you will, it could freak people out. Or turn them on. Hey, no kink shaming here, but if I am your thing, feel free to leave your number at the door. They say those who have mastered their craft make everything look effortless. But honestly, I'm barely functioning. Yet no one is the wiser. The technical term for it is masking, but I like to call it the performance of a lifetime. Masking is when you copy other people's behavior so much so that they almost feel like your own. Like method acting. I'm basically the Daniel Day-Lewis of existing. Yeah, how many people can say that? Exactly. The Oscars are fake anyway. Sure, Daniel Day-Lewis was Lincoln longer than the real Lincoln, but Daniel Day-Lewis can stop being Lincoln whenever he wants. Me? I wear a meticulously made mask I can't take off. When people rave about my personality, I just smile and say, thank you. I ran it through multiple focus groups. It scores very high with the girls and gays. Okay, now I'm sure you're all thinking to yourself, Gabrielle, none of this is special. I act differently with my friends, family, coworkers, bosses, etc. all the time. Everybody does, right? Well, to that I say yes and no. Masking is not just about using a customer service voice at work or acting differently with your lovers compared to your parents. You guys already know how to act without even trying. For example, how many of you would yawn anytime you saw anyone else yawn? You're making yawn, see? No? No? Yes? Okay. Well, if you did yawn, let's assume it was because of me, not because you're bored. When I was a kid, I saw this commercial with yawning animals. Lions and tigers and bears, oh my. And it said that yawning along with others was a sign of empathy. Well, naturally, I didn't want people thinking I wasn't empathetic, so I forced myself to do so anytime anyone else did, even if it didn't feel natural to me. Oh, not like a psychopath, more like an alien trying to blend in. Oh, but imagine how much I'd get done if I was a psychopath. Masking is like walking through a metal detector. Something always sets it off. So you keep trying until there's nothing left. It builds up and destroys you over time. Like alcohol poisoning. Autism is a lot like vodka, actually. You see some stranger across the bar and he buys you a shot. It tastes like nail polish remover. Disgusting. And then your best friend buys you one and you can't say no to her. And then your family starts buying you shots and you take them like a champ, as you always do. And then without warning, you projectile vomit like the girl in The Exorcist. Yeah. The bar goes silent, your best friend's horrified, and the stranger, they just see a freak with bile dripping from your mouth. You know better than to lose control. It's your fault for getting so drunk in the first place. Now you're alone, covered in your own vomit, cleaning up the mess you made. No matter how much sanitizer you use, it's closer, something always smells off. Meltdowns leave one hell of a hangover. Like a hangover, they're punishments for pushing you past your limit, ignoring every warning sign. And like a hangover, There's no quick fix. Only time heals. After years of building up my tolerance, I live life every day as if it were an audition. An old acting teacher of mine once said, "You never know who you're going to meet, what they'll do for you, or how one audition could change your life." Or, simply put, be presentable and don't fuck it up. Or, to put more politely, be the best you can be. Oh, I hate that phrase. It seems like no matter how hard I try, there's always someone else with that elusive it. Is it confidence? Charm? I mean, I'm no Miss Congeniality, but what do these girls have that I don't? Not autism, that's for sure. If I was picked, what then? Maybe if I had taken direction better, I would be famous by now. Instead of giving my mom PTSD from mommy and me activities. Sorry, Mom. All she wanted to do was emotionally bond with me like all the other moms and babies. But no, I would rather be buried in a ball pit for hours. Ball pits and blowing bubbles. That was my whole MO. Now I have bills, responsibilities, and existential dread. What the fuck is that bullshit? When I wasn't balls deep in a ball pit, I'd be outside painting the house with water. It was another genius idea by my grandma. Kept me entertained for hours. I don't understand how anyone couldn't see my untapped potential. All right, next slide. Chapter 4, early career. When I was in 5th grade, my parents told me I was autistic. To be honest with you, I didn't think anything of it at the time. I was too busy riding the high from my first ever role as the genie in Aladdin Jr. After our performance for the younger kids, this kindergartner comes up to me and asks me for my autograph. The next thing I knew, I was swarmed by a mob of 5, 6, and 7-year-olds. It was the closest I'd ever felt to being Britney Spears. I hired 2 of my friends as my bodyguard and my manager. Even though my bodyguard was smaller than me, still, they did their best to control the chaos while I was signing t-shirts, planners, notebooks, whatever these kids had on them. Might have even signed an arm or 2. As insane as the whole thing was, it made perfect sense to me. Why wouldn't I have fans? My meet and greet ended as soon as my limo, my mother, picked me up from school. That was actually the first time in my life that I felt like I was good at something. Theater became my first love, and I've been chasing that spotlight like a moth to a flame ever since. I don't know where I'd be without it. All those years of masking had finally paid off. I wasn't just accepted, I was celebrated. As Shakespeare once said, all the world's a stage and men are merely players. Well then, where's the script? On stage, you know when you're on and off. There's a set routine you rehearse for months on end, and everyone follows the same script. On stage, I can control what happens. Instead, life feels like a constant improv with no rehearsal. People are unpredictable, especially the adults you thought you could trust. No wonder I have so much anxiety and fear of failure, but like in the theater, the show goes on. They say the best actors are the ones who make strong choices. And others, well, choices were made. Chapter 5, the beginning of the end of my career. When I was 12 and in middle school, I called disclosing my autism the A-bomb. I thought it was a clever pun because dropping that truth bomb ever had dire consequences. The bomb dropped one day in math class. I don't remember how it came up, but my crush, the most popular boy in school, asked my teacher why I got extra time on my math tests. When you have autism or any kind of disability, you get something called an IEP, an individualized education plan with, okay, not exactly perks, but accommodations. And according to FERPA, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, it's all supposed to stay private. Or so I thought. So instead of a professional, it's none of your goddamn business, you punk. My teacher goes full Oppenheimer. Oh, it's because she's autistic. Just a casual FERPA violation at 7:30 in the morning. My gut dropped. The room went dark. It felt like a police helicopter spotlight was searing into my skin. And then my crush, the most popular boy in school, shouts, "Ew, get her away from us, she has autistic germs." My social life was flashing before my eyes. Like prey trapped in a corner, I fired back, "I wouldn't be talking if I were you. My grades are better than yours." I slouched back in my seat, bracing for the fallout. As soon as the bell rang, everyone was talking about it. That's why she's so weird. That's why she's so annoying. It was the beginning of the end. I didn't pass the metal detector. I couldn't pass go. I could not collect $200. Ever since then, I try to hide that part of myself for as long as I could. And that teacher, he didn't stop there. One time he shouted at me in the hallway, "Hey, Gabrielle, I heard you had the hots for so-and-so," AKA the most popular boy in school. Yeah, that teacher was a fucking dick. In 7th grade, I traded my quirky tomboy aesthetic for straight hair and makeup. I was stuck in that awkward in-between, the not a girl, not yet a woman. All I knew was that I had to completely reinvent myself in order to get this scarlet A off my back. I thought the more normal I appeared, the less anyone would suspect anything. Solid plan, don't you think? What can I say? I'm the most confident, insecure person I know. And one day in PE, while I was brooding in solitude, I actually developed another crush. This time on the most popular boy in school's identical twin brother. As you can tell, I was developing a type. While I was brooding in PE, the twin's friend comes up to me and tells me that the twin thinks I'm hot. I couldn't believe it. This was a far cry from being called weird or annoying. And I guess waking up an hour early to straighten my hair finally paid off. So, I cautiously replied, "Well, I think he's cute too." The friend runs to the twin. The twin flashes his crooked smile at me, and then they both walk over. I was totally in shock, so then I asked, "So, what makes me so hot?" Most people, they would have just left it at that. But not me. I made the mistake of asking that question. And as naive as I was, I genuinely thought he'd say something romantic, like how beautiful my eyes were, or how I was so much better than all those girls who cyberbullied me on MySpace. But no, the twin simply responds with, "You've got a great ass." I didn't know how to react. Most people would have just left it at that. But not me. I made the mistake. I just had to get to the bottom of it, pun intended. So, in my disgust and disappointment, I blurted out, "But that's where I poop." He says, "Yeah, I know. Who needs Romeo and Juliet when you have whatever this was?" In the locker room, the girls swarmed me. "Oh my God, are you gonna go out with him?" I said no. The whole exchange left me uneasy. I didn't want to just date a guy that liked me for my body. especially a part that I thought was gross. As an adult, I've come to accept it's the part of me that gets the most attention. Thank you, Whistler. But I like to think I'm more than just a great piece of ass. I've got great legs, too. Yeah. Chapter 6, accolades I never asked for. 6 years later, I was invited to receive a senior award. But I didn't know what it was for, and I wouldn't until I got there, which drove me insane. I watched as my AP classmates collected their awards and announced they were going to Harvard, Stanford, and Yale. I thought I was going to win a drama award for my strong work ethic, even if it didn't land me lead roles. Or maybe a math award for resiliently pushing through trigonometry instead of just dropping the class like my advisor suggested. That word, resilient, still follows me to this day. It's well-meaning until you burn out. Then what? When life becomes overwhelming, people just say, "You're so much better than this." They expect you to handle it, as always. Anyways, this woman comes on stage to announce the special and exceptionally gifted award. I have to stress the exceptionally gifted part, because no one really cares. How do I know this? Two guys were in front of me. One goes, "What's that?" And the other, "Oh, that's for special needs." Annoyed, I just brushed it off. It had nothing to do with me, or so I thought. On stage, this woman comes on and talks about a girl who's overcome adversity, yada, yada, yada. Cue the same inspirational porn shtick. She goes on and on about a girl who's so resilient, never gives up, and is in the drama program. Wait. Shit. Fuck! No, this can't be happening. Then she said my name. It was one of those rare moments that I did not want to be on stage. I stood up, squeezed past the row, then tripped over some asshole's foot. But, like a cat, I landed on my feet. The woman awkwardly fumbles with the medal, dragging out the whole pomp and circumstance. Desperate to end my misery, I just grabbed the fabric and draped it over my shoulders. Everyone laughed, thinking it was so quirky. I just wanted to disappear. As soon as the ceremony was over, I bolted to my parents' car before anyone could see the tears streaming down my face. My mom, she stayed to console me, while my dad gave that woman a piece of his mind. She kept insisting, "It's not special needs, it's exceptionally gifted." We all knew better. No matter how you spun it, it was never the exceptionally gifted award. It was always a special needs award. The next day, my teachers apologized and my classmates asked me what my deal was. I said ADHD. Because everyone thought they had ADHD. It was the safest answer. I know, so political. You know the worst part about that whole story? It wasn't my teachers or my classmates. It was me. I had the chance to educate and advocate for myself, to garner insight and respect, but why should I make people understand me? As if they'd listen. Sometimes it's better to just close myself off and play a game I'll never win. My mom, she describes being on the spectrum like pushing a rectangle through a circular hole. It won't go through. Not unless you shave the edges off. That's what I've done my whole life. How much more do I need to shave? Oh, don't answer that. My whole life I've spent shaving, masking parts of myself to fit into what I'm supposed to be. Yet, I'm sure you all can find that uncanny valley in me. Those gaps that you can't quite put your finger on. The sad reality is, I'll never truly fit. Chapter 7. Now what? I may have trouble finding my place in this world, but when it comes to fighting for others, I hold nothing back. If I see anyone feeling targeted, harassed, or ignored, I step in without hesitation. It took me years to control myself in those situations. I've been told I can get scary. Maybe I scared you already. No one should have to feel what I felt in those moments, especially if I can stop them from happening. I have to be an advocate now. I've aged out of acting. 30 is basically hospice in Hollywood. Listen, I've been in this business for as long as I can remember. As soon as my act stopped being cute, I was no longer relevant. I was growing up. The worst thing that can happen to a young star. The inspirational porn industry loves children, but they'll never admit it. Dying is more ideal. Stars shine brightest during a supernova, a poetic way to describe their inevitable collapse. What a legacy. Everything changes when you get older. My whole career was built on being this thing you take care of, something that makes you feel better about yourself by association, like a nickel for a kid in Africa or a sick puppy in the pound. But what happens if no one adopts the puppy? Left behind, forgotten. Okay, maybe dying's not as ideal. Let's make a bet. I bet you all would feel worse for the sad, sick puppy than you would for the sad supernova star. It's just human nature. I bet my money on it. I knew what I had to do. With whatever embers I had left, I rekindled sparks to start anew. Like a baby bird pushed from the nest, I was expected to soar. I had to take care of myself in a world that had once sheltered me. I had to be a responsible adult. My own job, place, healthy relationships. And besides, my mother got really tired of being my manager. I couldn't use my autism as a crutch, not as a grown-ass woman anyway. And I couldn't afford to be some washed-up has-been. I had to submit myself for roles in a new age range. I was now a woman. Chapter 8, my first of many. In college, I met my other first love. There was something about his calm, straightforward demeanor that just pulled me in. One night, we were watching Pulp Fiction, his favorite film. As the credits rolled, this normally reserved guy just started talking a mile a minute. So I shut him up by kissing him. He had these gorgeous, kind brown eyes I could actually look into without feeling forced or like my brain was on fire. He said I made him feel the same exact way, and that he cared about me. Cared about me? You don't even know me. I don't think I believed it. How could someone choose me so quickly? Especially with my Made for Men mask, but maybe, just maybe he was different. And for a while, he proved it. When I got back to school, he'd drive nearly 4 hours every month just to see me. With him, I wasn't some trophy or sexy caregiver or a convenient placeholder. I was someone he truly wanted to know. He was like a warm bath, soothing, calming, yet all-consuming. Maybe it was a Scorpio energy, but whatever it was, I couldn't get enough. I knew if I was going to have sex for the first time, it was gonna be with him. My mom got us a hotel room nearby with a dull gray building blocking the view. Scenic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Things are getting hot and heavy, and then all of a sudden, the moment of truth, he pulls out his fire and ice condom. For those of you that haven't had the pleasure, imagine icy hot on your genitals. Yeah, it gets better, buckle up. At first he manages to slide his dick under me rather than inside me. It felt like a credit card that wasn't going through. So I just lied there, staring at the dull gray building outside, waiting for him to finish whatever he was doing. In what felt like forever, he finally asks me, "How was it?" I said, "How was what?" He wasn't satisfied with that answer. Frankly, neither was I. He was closer to the Z spot than the G spot. Wrong side of the alphabet. With better aim, he does manage to get inside me, but it hurt more than I expected. He claimed I was too tight, which made me cry because isn't that what guys are supposed to want? Like, why wasn't I good at this? Why wasn't I enough for him? On top of that, whoever has a icy hot fetish or just hates contraception thought putting menthol and cayenne in these fuckers was a good idea. That would explain why my crotch and his dick was on fire. And ice. But, much like Jon Snow in, ironically, a song of ice and fire, he knew nothing. And neither did I. At least we weren't cousins. It is something. In Florida? No. So he decided to finger me instead and called it a night. How romantic. Oh, and in case you guys were wondering, we did manage to figure it out after 3 attempts. The trick? I had to say, "I love you." And regular condoms didn't hurt either. Chopped a nine who can't spell brat without autism spectrum disorder. The B silent. Bitch. College, hands down, was so much better than high school. College growing up was a place of what I imagined to be a place of education, love, and acceptance. My parents met at Cornell. My dad caught my mom when she tripped on ice. College is where you'd meet your best friends. Shout out to Mitch in the booth. Thank you, respect the tech. And most importantly, you'd find yourself. No more bullying or feeling like you didn't belong. It was where everything would finally make sense. Once I got out from under my parents' roof, I got more experimental. Parties, drinking, recreational drugs, things you'd never expect an autistic girl like me to get into. What? You think just because I'm autistic, I'm binging old SpongeBob episodes or watching Wicked on repeat just to have a reason to cry? I mean, I do, but that's not the point. Do I regret it? Not until the morning after. Sophomore year, I went to this house party with beer pong and vodka-soaked gummy worms. By the time I learned how to play flip cup, I was too far gone. I sat on the couch as the room spun faster and faster and faster, and all of a sudden, I projectile vomited all over myself. I earned a new role on my resume that night. Trashy party girl who couldn't hold her liquor. Very broad. If you know, you know. Another role on my resume, lost girl in the woods. Oh, but don't worry, it was at a techno-rave music festival with seizure-inducing strobes, blaring bass, and mostly strangers. Totally safe, right? Woo! You'd think I'd hate raves like this because of the sensory overload. And you'd be right, but something about the bass reverberating in my bones sends me to a whole new plane of existence. What can I say? I'm just a sensory festival was completely out of my comfort zone. I'd asked them if we had an itinerary and they all laughed at me. So I had to get on their level. That's when I tried acid. And something had changed within me. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was more connected to these strangers than I had ever felt to anyone ever in my entire life. Normally, I would be freaking out about being in a real-life Blair Witch Project, but not Gabrielle the Enlightened. No, she was finally enjoying the journey instead of hyper-fixating on the destination. As the group chatted, I heard this voice, as clear as day, like I was Joan of Arc. It's not your turn to talk, and that's okay. You can just listen right now. That was my most profound experience on acid. Realizing how truly autistic I am. To think neurotypicals think like this without psychedelics? Mind-blowing. No wonder scientists tried using LSD for autism. I've even considered microdosing. It's not quite the same trip my mom had when she met my dad, but I'll take it. Chapter 10, All You Need Is Love. I need a lot more than that. 6 years later, I broke up with Mr. Scorpio, the fire and ice condom guy. I tried expressing my needs, telling him how I felt emotionally neglected, but he was drowning in family and financial struggles. Too much for anyone, let alone their autistic partner. I felt like I was just a black hole to him. How can you take care of someone if you can't even take care of yourself? All I want to do is relate to others and share my own experience. Like, for instance, if you were to tell me your pet died, I would sympathetically say, I know exactly how you feel. My fish died a few months ago and I thought my life was over. You either think I said the right thing, or I just made it all about myself. How much attention do you think I crave? Don't answer that. Apparently, I'm supposed to say, oh, I'm sorry that happened to you. Which to me sounds more disingenuous, but what do I know? I just live in a world where my first instinct is always wrong. That's precisely why I'm asked. As I have gotten older, it feels as though the more I would reach for connection, the further it is from my grasp. Honestly, at this point, my love life has mostly been a string of bad auditions. One each outdoing the last. It's actually kind of impressive, in the most pathetic way. Some honorable mentions include Bachelor number 1. He asked me if I had an OnlyFans, hated my crystals. His ex stabbed him with one. Bachelor number 2 gained 20 pounds. He was 20 pounds heavier than his Hinge profile and debated me on circumcision when I mentioned I was Jewish. And Bachelor number 3, my personal favorite, totaled a cop car with a broken toilet over Pokemon Go. I'll say it again because I too had trouble processing it the first time. He couldn't find the right Pokemon he was looking for, found this broken toilet on the side of the road, and then used that to total a cop car. All because of Pokemon Go. And Bachelor number 3 was also an aspiring actor / comedian, just like me. But he couldn't use that story in his set because of the statute of limitations. Oh. But I can. And a year later, Bachelor number 3 texts me a refund for our one and only date. Real screenshot, by the way. So let me break it down for you. So he's really broke right now, and I was not worth the investment, you know, like a person. And I was condescending and rude 75% of the time. Honestly, I'll take the L on that one because I should have been at 100%. So that's good feedback. And then if I wanted to be a real one, there's his Cash App. But my response instead was, I'm going to block you instead, and that's priceless. Please use that one. It's not trademarked yet. As you can tell, it's very hard for me to find deep connections. And when I do, they are impossible for me to get rid of them, even if they've been awful to me. And that's just with men. Women, oh boy. They're like these short fuses that come on strong and then poof, leave a trail of smoke and ash behind. Oh, I should mention, chapter 11 in the style of insane. Thank you. Tell me why my sexuality was harder to come to terms with than my autism. Like my autism, my bisexuality is on a spectrum. Fluid, complex, and often misunderstood. Or, as my grandma once accidentally described it to her friends, liquid. I was about 12 years old when I started looking up girls kissing in my incognito browser. Much like my autism, this budding interest of mine had to stay a secret too. I can't tell you exactly what indoctrinated me. It's something you either are or you're not. It's not something for men to fetishize, and it's certainly not a choice. If it was, would you think I would still be dealing with men? Let's be so for real. The first date I had with a girl was with someone I met on the Her app. And funny enough, it was the first time I heard Pink Pony Club by Chapel Roan for the first time. If that's not a sign, I don't know what is. Anyways, the thing about dating women is you never really know if it's a date or not. At least I don't. Well, it's tricky because you don't want to come on too strong or make them uncomfortable and pass their boundaries. If only certain men got that memo. Anyways, we went to this bar with live music, and she called me a sex kitten and confirmed that it was, in fact, a date. Phew. On the Uber ride back, I started to cry. Maybe it was the drinks or being on my own for the first time. Either way, crying during dates was a bad habit of mine for a while. But she didn't care. She wiped away my tears so tenderly and told me everything was going to be okay. I felt more cared for in that moment than I had felt in a long time. More than what any man could provide. We got back to my place, and yes, I did confirm it was in fact a date. I felt like I found a piece of myself that I didn't really know I was missing. And for the first time, everything finally made sense. Well, almost. Was I really bi if I didn't reciprocate? Well, society loves to equate attraction with experience, but we shouldn't discredit people's attraction if we haven't had the chance to explore it yet. Whether you are a solid, liquid, or gas, it doesn't matter. And it never should. Not long after that, I matched with, no exaggeration here, a literal Princess Jasmine on Tinder. I'm not saying she worked at Disney World, but she could have. We made plans to meet that night. She could have been a catfish for all I knew, but I figured it was worth the 40-minute commute. Oh, with men, I would have been a statistic on a Netflix true crime documentary. With women, a steamy Netflix thriller. I mean, sure, I'd still die, but what a way to go, am I right? Well, don't look at me like that. I don't make the rules. So, I go back to her place and found out a couple things. She has a 2-year-old, and her boyfriend stationed in Korea. Sounds like a bad porno plot, doesn't it? Normally, I have a strong moral code about these things, but I was already there. And ovulating. What? As long as she's Snapchatting videos of us making out to her boyfriend, then it's not cheating, right? Right? Oh, don't answer that. Okay, call it a double standard, but I support women's rights and their wrongs. Besides, I was just trying to get laid. Oh God, I am no worse than a man. So, her place, it has all this witchy shit, right? Tarot cards included. As she shuffles the deck, she asks Spirit how the night was gonna go. Frankly, I didn't need the cards. I already knew. She pulls out the Lover's card and new romantic cycles beginning. Need I say more? There was also another card about healing, but who gives a shit? That's when I kissed her. One thing led to another, and yes, I did reciprocate. During our little magic carpet ride, her 2-year-old started screaming. Figured that was my cue for a water break. This small child looks up at me, points and goes, "Mommy, who is that?" And I'm just over here like, "Oh, hi, Jimmy. I just fucked your mom." Oh, but Jimmy didn't care. He was too busy throwing a tantrum over not getting gummies past his bedtime. He asked me for them, but his mom said no. Joke's on him, I was a bottom. Well, at least that night. I never saw her again after that. She moved on to Snow White, this German brunette. Hi-ho, more like bye-ho. It's a shame. She promised to buy a strap-on to use on me. C'est la vie. Her cat really liked me, though. I guess you can say I'm a real pussy magnet. Chapter 12. Tick-tock, your time is running out. Less like the app and more like Hesha. If you were to tell my younger self I'd be on stage like this, talking about my autism, let alone strap-ons, I would have disassociated. Talk about growth. And it seems like I'm not the only one who's experienced growth over the past couple decades. Oh God, I can feel the dust collecting on my skin just saying that. Nowadays, mental health carries less of a stigma, and autism has become a really big topic of conversation online. My biggest flex? I got my diagnosis before TikTok. Hey, I'm all for self-diagnosing, but I feel like you need more than just a couple TikToks to claim a label. Sometimes it just feels like people are collecting different mental illnesses like Pokemon. You gotta catch them all. But trust me, it's not worth pulling cop cars over. Yeah, that's a callback. Neurodivergence is nuanced and complicated. You don't realize it until it's in your face and impossible to ignore. I used to think people just wanted the clout, but that was the internalized ableism talking. People are just trying to find their place in this world, and if it takes building a community online, then so be it. I mean, as long as they're using that for using it for community rather than external validation, where's the harm? Social media warps our perceptions of reality, flaunting milestones like marriage and kids. Look, they can do it, why can't you? Sometimes I think I'm just better off the grid, but I'm too chronically online for that. I can confidently say that I do have a disability, no matter how well I mask. I live in a world that is constantly questioning the validity of my experience. And in living in such a world, how do I prove my value? Or maybe I'm just a product nobody wants to buy. Chapter 13. Do dreams really come true? My favorite fairy tales I was sold: Cinderella and The Little Mermaid. Cinderella always gets shit on for waiting for her prince to come instead of being a strong, independent woman. But here's the thing. Cinderella never wanted a prince. She worked round the clock almost until midnight and grinned a bear it. She just wanted a night out. I mean, who could blame her, right? Like, why can't I get a fairy godmother that pays for my Uber, gets me a nice dress, and lets me have a literal ball? Or is that just a sugar daddy? I mean, it's a bit older than a prince, but I'll take what I can get. And then there's The Little Mermaid. Her desire for more than life under the sea was all-consuming, like drowning, even with gills to breathe. She gave up her voice to chase her dreams. And if a mud skipper could crawl out of the water and change life on Earth forever, what's stopping us from being bold little mud skippers? I mean, you know what they say, right? The bigger the risk, the bigger the reward. What about when you're betting on yourself? If you keep losing, then it's a gambling problem. I ask myself this all the time. What's so wrong with wanting more? You may think I am the girl who has everything, but I want more. I'd never be happy with a simple, happily ever after. I have to go all in. It's gotten me this far. If I don't get that big break, roll of a lifetime, jackpot, whatever you want to call it, then what was it all for? What was any of this for? None of that matters, though. In the inspirational porn industry, the house always wins. Epilogue. Where is she now? I sold my soul to live in a zoo. People come from different cities just to catch a glimpse of me. I'd be so well behaved, performing tricks, earning treats for my devotion. The applause tells me they love me. I see a mother whose eyes gleam with hope. A stoic father cracks a rare smile. And with them a child, not yet aware of how terrifying it is to be on the inside, wanting to be my friend. They all peer through the bars and say, she must be one of the wonders of God's own creation. But inevitably, the lights go out, and I'm left alone in a cage I can't escape or let anyone in. Don't be so surprised. I know exactly what you are. Active participants coming here with the expectation of exploitation. You made me this way, and now must deal with the consequences of your complicity. Or don't. You can do whatever you want. I don't have the same privileges, not even in my own fantasies. You know those stories of the brave prince who slays a dragon to save the princess? Growing up is realizing you were never meant to be the princess. You're the dragon, meant to be slain all along. Life as an inspirational porn star means you're either idolized or inconvenienced. It's better than living in obscurity. Or perhaps I confuse the two, performance and connection, two sides of the same coin. Is it pathetic? I mean, maybe, but I get off with the sick thrill of you watching me. Even more pathetic, I'm not even all that special. I don't have the kind of autism where the quarterback takes me to prom out of pity, or the kind that learns how to say I love you with an iPad. Yet, here I am, the miraculous novelty, a challenge to your bounds. I confound you. I astound you. The catch-22 of resilience. My greatest achievements being everyone else's bare minimum. Sure, I did exceed expectations, but at what cost? special, then no one is. And I'm no exception. Feeling inspired yet? Struggling in fringe festivals, or not struggle is the wrong word. They are a nonprofit, so please donate to them, because who else is going to give me, and also Emily, but mostly me, this much attention? So support local arts. Thank you for coming.